So today we are with Community Keepers, which is an amazing organization that gives back at schools and helps people at vulnerable schools. But I'm not going to talk too much. I'd rather have them explain it. But yeah, I had the opportunity to go to one of that, and that was absolutely an amazing. Not a lot of people know this, but it started in Western Cape, correct? And we often talk so bad. Like we go, oh, the government, oh, they're meant to have social workers at each thing. But sometimes with South Africans, we're so resilient that someone will then do it on their own. They'll be proactive. And this is kind of what happened. The founder started it because he saw the need. But yeah, I want you please to explain more. And we've got Amy, Chelsea, and Shafika here with us. So let them introduce and give a shout out if you recognize them, if you've worked with them. So yeah. Amy, can you go first, please?
Sure. So my name is Amy. I'm a social worker by profession. I've been with Community Keepers since 2021. So for 3 years, I was based at one of the schools, full-time counseling at one of the schools, which we'll explain a little bit more in a moment. And then recently I've stepped into the funding team, so a little bit more behind the scenes now.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chelsea Jones. I'm also a social worker by profession, operating as a care practitioner within the scope of Community Keepers. I've been doing this for 3 years, being in schools. I'm really passionate about schools, working in schools. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shafika. I am one of the key facilitators based at the school that I work with, Chelsea, and I've been with Community Keepers since 2023.
Awesome. So that's a long time, and you guys have survived. So that's good, especially with kids and teenagers, I can imagine. But if, Amy, because you're behind the scenes on more the, admin side, if you could explain really the initiative, the mission, the vision of starting this and who started it and why and how it has grown.
Sure. So Community Keepers started in 2009. So we're in our 16th year now, I think. And as you mentioned, our founding members really saw a gap when they learned that in the education system, there was one social worker, one state social worker allocated to 32,000 learners. And that ratio was very concerning and is still very concerning. So that's where Community Keepers was born to meet that gap. And so in 2009, we started setting up offices, full-time on-site offices at schools, primary and high schools. And those are essentially mental health offices. So we place a mental health professional at the offices. So it's either a social worker or a registered counselor, and they provide the psychosocial services at the schools.
And how many are currently?
So currently we're in 89 schools across 3 provinces. So you mentioned we started in the Western Cape, so we're still predominantly here. But we've opened up offices in rural Eastern Cape and Gauteng as well, which is really exciting. And that all happened in about 2022, where we went through an exponential growth thanks to the Jobs Fund, National Treasury's Jobs Fund. So we got some funding through that, and we essentially doubled in size. So it was a massive growth, but an amazing opportunity to reach more learners.
Brilliant. I mean, such a great initiative. And I think it's upon us sometimes where the lack of what's happening within the government or promises made, it's just amazing that there are people willing to help, So tell me as well, your experience, all of you, working on the ground, what has been your biggest difference that you've made? And also, have you worked with just the kids or have you worked with the teachers as well? What has been the predominant problem that you help with? And I know each school is different, so maybe give how the demographics with that work as well.
Yeah, I think so. We work in schools where where there is a need for our services, where like Amy said, there is not a social worker who can be full time there. So we are there for that reason. And there are various issues that we come face to face with, and our learners are coming face to face with every single day in their contexts. And to answer your question, we work with both the learners as well as the teachers. We try to we feel that to get the best best effect, we have to kind of work with the school as a whole. We can't really isolate one specific group to kind of impact the learners and their well-being and their psychosocial well-being for them to be able to learn properly. We also have to make sure that teachers are being looked after and teachers are being spoken to as well as principals, the general workers, the ladies at the kitchen at our schools are able to access, the librarians at the schools are able to access our services, because I think our core is that to be able to affect a learner, you kind of have to speak to every single person in that school settings. And schools are kind of, I think, anyone can agree that schools are kind of a microcosm of a society. Schools can't be taken away from out of a society. If a community in the school is affected by gang violence, a school will be affected by gang violence. If a community is affected by unemployment, a school will be affected by unemployment. So we, like you said, all of our schools focus are dealing with different issues, but I think all of them reflect South Africa, like with the biggest issues that South Africa is dealing with. Our schools reflect that as well. So yeah, I think maybe Shafika can explore more. She deals with the learners as they come into the office, so maybe she can explore
With
more
the intake.
about what most of our referral reasons are. What are the learners accessing our services for?
So, as Charles explained, I'm the first point of contact before the therapist gets to see the learner. So I would, based off the referral, I would go through the referral form and basically just get an understanding of what support the learner needs, and then build a relationship with the first contact and gather information. So every month or term, it's like a different season. Sometimes it'll be based off family, sometimes it'll be based off anxiety, or sometimes there'll be a season where it would be mixed. So based off the need, I would say it's family, it's community-driven things, it's things within the school, friendships. It's very broad, so it's not really narrowed down to a specific theme. But after I get to see the learner, I would then have a discussion with Chelsea, and we would then work on the intervention plan going forward and discuss when she would be able to see the learner and plan and prepare for that.
It sounds like a brilliant multidisciplinary team, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, where to have one social worker or social auxiliary worker or, you know, someone, a key helper, do it by themselves, it's extremely hard, and you can take a lot on your shoulders, and who's supporting you. But I also remember you telling me when I went to the school that now here's the problem. So here is a naughty child, right? And you go to the principal's office and there's a disciplinary process. And you guys, as an identity of the organization, you don't want that to see as a discipline counseling. Can you explain a little bit more of that?
Yeah, so we try, I think our bread and butter of what we try to do is try to destigmatize mental health and the need for accessing support. A lot of our learners, because of like I say, the microcosm, the society that we come from, mental health is still taboo. Like it is still taboo. It's still, you are perhaps crazy if you seek support. You are perhaps, something is wrong with you if you seek support. So we try to normalize it. We try to say, just without all of the other things I mentioned, without exposure to crime, without abuse, without any of those things, just being a teenager in South Africa at the moment is hard. You're faced with so many things you have to grapple with every single day. So we really try to destigmatize to our learners that it's okay to seek support. There's nothing wrong with seeking support. Sometimes you just need that safe adult person that you can go to in a confidential space and really talk about things. So to your point, Emma, we really try to maintain that therapy is not a disciplinary action at all, because that doesn't help with what we're trying to achieve. We don't want a child to feel that something is wrong with them, and so now that's why, or they are inherently bad and that's why they need to access support. We really try to maintain, and our school support us in that therapy in itself is not a quick fix for naughty behavior or deviant behavior outside. It's something that, and we get consent from our learners as well, so it's something that is important for us. We don't follow through with therapy unless we get the consent from either the parent if the child is younger, or the child themselves when they're older. So anyone can understand that therapy only works once you have that person's buy-in. The child has to want to come. It can't just be, oh, you did this wrong, so now you have to go. We're not going to achieve anything from that. So that destigmatization of mental health is so important in that aspect as well, to say that it's okay to seek support. You are safe here. And when you do seek support, there's nothing wrong with you. Instead, you're actually opening yourself up for so much growth and for so much well-being as well by taking that.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now tell me about confidentiality. Do you have parents knocking down and going, hey, what's going on with my child? My child's doing this. I want to know. How do you do that? How do you handle that?
We do get a lot of those, me and Chelsea. But with the first point of contact, it's very important to set that boundary in front of the learner or without the learner being there, that if the learner agrees to having support from community keepers, whatever gets said in the room would be just staying there, unless the learner would want us to have a discussion with the parent or the learner agrees to let us inform the parent, but it stays in that safe space. So they need to feel that that's a space where they can speak what they need to without being judged and without letting it be a topic of conversation out there.
So they know you're not going to go call the parents and whisper and is that quite clear from the beginning? And how is that trust built? Because I can imagine a lot of these kids have been disappointed by adults in their life,
So it's very important with the first point of contact, like with myself, I become myself in front of them so that they can see that no one is perfect. It's okay to be yourself. And I remind that it's a judge-free space. I'm not going to look at you in a funny way, or I'm going to respond in a way, because we're all imperfect. We're all learning. And then I remind them about the confidentiality part. It stays here. Whatever gets said stays here. I'll go to Chelsea only if it's needed. Like if I can't provide the support because she is qualified in that career where I am learning from her as well. So if I'm unsure, I would have a discussion with her, but I will explain that to the learner. But then I'll also explain to the child that there's a time where it can break. So if the child's life is in danger or someone's life is in danger, or if I feel that the child's unsafe or things are not being dealt with properly at home, I would first go to Chelsea, but I'll also inform the learner about the process before it actions out. So I explain the confidential part, but when it can be broken as well.
Yeah. We explain the limitations around confidentiality as well. But to answer your question, we make it clear to parents, we make it clear to teachers, we make it clear to the principal that we can't disclose. And I think they appreciate that as well, because it allows them to also kind of feel, because we also, what we're trying to do, I'm not sure you guys will agree that what we're trying to do is also allow teachers to be teachers, not to be therapists and counselors and have to carry all those things in their profession as one. I think that gives that sort of kind of permission for teachers also to be teachers, where we say, okay, we've got this from here, let us take it from here. If there's a need where the limitations of confidentiality needs to be broken, we will do that through the correct avenues. And that's something I always tell our learners as well, to say, if there is a need where I will have to report something, don't worry, it won't be the whole world won't need to know. It will only be someone who can help, and we make sure that they understand that in that process. And it takes some time to build trust. It does. With any relationship, with all of us, in all of our relationships, it takes time to build that trust. But we find that consistency is so important in building that trust. Just showing up.
And in their lives, showing up.
Saying when your appointment is next week.
And no matter what you tell me.
Exactly.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I don't think they get that a lot of time.
Exactly, right? So just that consistency helps so much as well. Just to be there when you say, I'm going to be here on Monday on first period, you are there Monday first period. I'm available for you when you come. That already helps to build and break those walls down a bit. Yeah.
And let's talk something, let's talk something serious here. And I would like to ask you, if you could be president or the head of education department, we've got two sides here. We've got protecting the kids.
Yes.
And we've got protecting the teachers. Is there enough support for teachers in this country? I mean, I've heard horror stories to my sister. She's got 40 kids and it's grade 2. That is 8 years old and she's been run over by them. We obviously do not do corporate punishment, but I do know some teachers feel absolutely cornered. Parents are even going to the teachers, "Moer my kind. Asseblief, like, I don't care, hit them." And we're in a situation where it's illegal, but they're they don't know what to do anymore. So if you were head of education or the president, what do you think needs to be done with these kids that are getting away almost, with like really undisciplined, making teachers' lives feel threatened?
Yes.
What do you think can be done in this? Go.
I feel like maybe if the teachers are able to identify, maybe programs can be pulled together. That is where community comes in.
Community keeper.
We as community keepers come in. It's important for the school and ourselves to work together so that if there are learners that are identified, we can do like programs that help them with their self-esteem, because it's obviously, it's not just the behavior that's happening in class, it's derived from something else. So it's always, you need to look into it more deeply, if I can say, to understand that a child just doesn't act out because they're acting out. There is a reason why they're acting out the way they are. So it could be something from at home, or the child could be being bullied at school, or the child's maybe unhappy about something. It's nearly like just waking up in the morning and you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And that affects maybe all that. But it doesn't say that it's okay for the child to be behaving that way. But as a teacher and as ourselves, we need to understand what is this behavior telling us. So that is where we need to work together. So we always build the relationship with the teacher so that they are able to refer. And then with that referral, we are able to bridge the gaps and show that, okay, we can work together, or pick up on the behavior. Maybe it's not coming on today, it's been coming on for some time, or it's something new. So there is programs, the community keepers is there. It's just that we can tap more into it.
But sorry to interrupt you now. I want to kind of confirm or echo what you said. There was a study done last year by Helene Hofmeyr, Stellenbosch University, and she actually found that 50% of teachers are considering leaving the profession due to having to respond to the psychosocial challenges of learners. So I think you right on the nose with it being an issue, and it's something that us as community keepers became very aware of this year specifically, that our teachers are struggling. And so it is a long journey to walk where, maybe traditionally we've supported the learners, or they are kind of seen as our primary beneficiaries. And we're really trying to shift that to, we're here for the whole school, the whole environment. We're trying to create an environment of care and a place where everyone belongs. And really helping teachers to see that we're there to support them as well. And we're also seeing that teachers don't want necessarily more professional development workshops, more sitting down and listening to a lecture for 2 hours, but they're actually wanting to play and connect with their inner child, and just really have that safe space as well. So as Chelsea and Shafika mentioned, we're there for the teachers as well, so they can access our services themselves. So for personal reasons, and all the same processes apply in terms of confidentiality. But there's a lot of stigma. I see a lot of stigma in schools where teachers will refer learners, but there's still that barrier to actually access the services themselves. But it's definitely, I think, a challenge of teachers needing that extra support. And I think it does need to come from government level as well. Policies and support in place. And we are speaking to the Department of Education of what can we put in place to support teachers with emotional literacy. And at the end of the day, that is where we come in with just taking that burden off them of not having to be everything to everyone, but just giving them lending that hand of, we'll take care of the psychosocial, and we'll look after you as well. But it's rough, and we're in 89 schools, but that's a small drop in the bucket of the schools in South Africa.
And that's what I was going to say to Chelsea. I know you worked along with my sister. So you're coming from a school where there's none of those services available. And now you're working in school where it is. But the same demographic, right? So I want to know, to the same question, what do you think needs to be done? What do you think with these? I mean, when you saw where my sister was working, you heard these stories. It's terrible what the teachers have to put up with. I mean, my sister's phone was stolen, as one of the podcasts I said, and it was an 8-year-old kid. So what do you think, if I had to ask you the same question, needs to be done?
Yeah, I think I agree with Amy. If I had a magic wand, I would swing it around and I would say we need more policies and laws helping teachers and protecting teachers as well. There's a lot that teachers feel that their hands are tied and they don't feel protected by the system at all. They feel like they're at the mercy of the system. They've got to be everything to everyone at once, but they don't have the protection themselves as well. We recently had a Form 22 training with the WCD. We collaborated with them, and the social worker at the WCD assigned to our school had told me he knew the conversation was going to come up. Teachers are saying we know how to protect learners. When we see learners are doing this, we know what to do. We've been told, we've been given that knowledge. But when we are facing the same thing, who helps us? What are we supposed to do? We're also human beings. We're also feeling the trauma. And he said himself, there's not a lot more that there's not a lot that's protecting you, but we are working towards that. And I would say like Shafika said, there's always a root symptom. These branches that grow, there's always roots at the bottom. I would say, especially in that community, I think essentially at our schools, in our communities, we're lacking extramurals. We're lacking other things, right? That can build not only children, but also build our family structure as well. I think that's a big root of where the problems are coming from. We're not getting enough social development programs for families in our communities, for children to also access things that interest them, that make their spark come, that make their passion comes. We don't have enough soccer teams. We don't have enough art clubs. We don't have enough things that can really impact children otherwise, because our children feel so boxed. They feel so... I think when they can see that the system is not helping them, they end up, teachers are the first line of defense. So they end up taking it out on teachers, and teachers have to face the brunt of it. And because, and it sucks, but it is the way it is. Teachers are a lot of the time, these children's safe space. They know they won't get a hiding from their teacher. They know their teacher won't speak ill to them. So they feel, okay, this is the person I'm going to take my frustrations out of now, because this is my safer person. And so we need, like you said, we need better policy. We really need better legislation. And I would say one of the first things, if I had a magic wand, I would say we need more programs that speak to the diverse needs of our community and our learners as well. I think that would make a big difference in the way children feel about themselves and also the way that they act as well.
When I hear a school doesn't have something as basic as a sport, and I'm not even saying resources. I don't even care if it's like a field with a ball.
Yeah.
I think sports, it gets a lot of that anger out. It makes you feel part of something.
Sure.
Something so basic, isn't it?
Yes.
And my sister's school didn't have that, and I was quite shocked.
Yeah.
But another thing I wanted to ask was, if we look back when we were teenagers, right? We're not going to give our age away, but I definitely was older when I started, knowing about things, and people around me were experimenting. That that age range, in my experience, has changed. So where I was seeing people experiment around maybe 14, 15, we're getting it younger. So can you tell me, is there truth to that? Have you experienced that as well?
I can maybe jump in there. It's definitely so young. It's so young that the learners start experimenting. And I think it comes down to the parents, because our parents in these communities are modeling behavior and unhealthy ways of coping. And then there are no boundaries, and the learners inevitably start experimenting as well. Interestingly, we quite recently had a conversation with one of our primary schools in Kylemore, Stellenbosch area. And we've learned that primary school children are accessing sexual enhancement polls this is primary school level. Polls. And it's available at the corner spaza shop and sold to primary school learners, and then it obviously causes behavioral ripple effects at the school. So that is one example I can give you of something that has recently come to light, and something that we're looking into and investigating, of learners experimenting at that young age with things that they frankly shouldn't know about and are not age appropriate at all. So that would be
Because their natural body saying, I can't do this, so let's get a pill to do it.
and you can just imagine the ripple effect. So that's a very relevant example that I can give you right
How
now.
old are these kids, sorry?
This is primary school. So this could be 9, 10, anywhere around there.
Scary. And you
add on to what Emma saying is that also, like, I would remember, like, me being in my younger days, my mom would always encourage to, like, go play in the road, play soccer, play with the dolls. Today, parents don't have the capacity to encourage that, where you learn to find yourself, you know, the inner child. So now they're handing the phones.
Oh, yeah.
So the phones are like, if I look around in the community, children as young as in grade 1 are sitting on the phone, they're playing online games, they're on YouTube, there's no age restriction, so things are being seen, and you as a parent, you allowing that, but you're not also monitoring the things, so you don't know what your child's being exposed to. So I would say I miss that, where the parents would encourage. Like, I encourage my kids every single day. Take a soccer ball, go play outside.
Innocence, isn't it?
Interact with the kids in the road. Drive your bike. Socialize, because the phone takes that away. So a phone and a parent not really being emotionally, physically there also affects the child, because now you become curious, because now you're seeking that attention in different ways.
To add on to that, I was just doing a CPD training presented by the Jelly Beans Foundation on pornography in children, right? And what they're exposed to. And sometimes children don't even go out to seek it, but I think they're really encouraging parents not to give a child a phone at even in primary school age, because children are looking at Roblox, for example, a gaming thing, and they'll get pop-ups up,
when I went to my illegal sites.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh,
you just can't imagine a child then whose brain immediately lights up because they're curious, they don't know, and they enter into that, and before they know it, they're entered into a cycle of being exposed to things
they're curious.
Exactly, right?
The kids
and that's a human thing, Emma. Like, it's a human thing to be curious, but they are being exposed to things before they're ready to, and then in a manner of secrecy as well, right? Where they're not going to speak to parents who can properly inform them or properly give them the knowledge. They're getting the knowledge,
and they're going to school and then finding about the older kids, and it's just like more.
Exactly. Shafika and I recently went to our grade 10s. We did a group work session with them on, we wanted it to be about consent, right? We wanted to talk to them about consent, the limitations of consent, what
GBV going on,
consent, all of those things, right? And it was such an informative conversation because we got to get a snapshot into their mind, how they see sex, how they view sex, how they also view sex in relation to each other as well. And I think we were quite flawed as well with things that they were engaged in, that they knew about, and it also helped me as well to understand that I've got to also change what I present and how I do it, because learners are being exposed to things that perhaps I didn't expect them to be exposed to, and for us to be effective, we've got to
an example. What was going on?
We asked learners for one of our questions. We were doing this myths, fun and facts thing. One thing that's coming to mind now is me asking learners, so if you are in a consensual relationship with someone for the longest time, and you guys have been engaging, and you guys are both fine with it, but in the middle of an act, maybe someone wants to do something else. Okay. And you say no, you don't want to do it, but your partner still proceeds to do it, even though the person has said no, because you guys have done it before. And we had them raise their hand to say, do you guys think, is it still consensual or is it not consensual anymore, right? Because I'm just trying to get a view into the mindset. All of them said, Miss, that's consent, because you've been agreeing all the time. So now how? You can't just suddenly, because also now you've gotten me to this place of arousal, you can't suddenly want to take it back. So we, and anyone watching this podcast who has children, I always try to talk to them about the FRIES method, right? To talk about it, because it's just FRIES. And we just talk about consent is freely given, right? Consent is always reversible. It can always be taken back, right? It's always informed. You have to know the full thing of what you're entering into for you to give consent. Things cannot be added later, if you haven't discussed it first. Also has to be enthusiastic. That's another question. I said, you go to your boyfriend and you ask your boyfriend to do something and your boyfriend is saying, okay, I guess if you want to. If it's not enthusiastic, that is not consent at all, right? The person has to be into it. They have to be enthusiastic about it. And they also have to be specific. You have to be specific. We are going to do this. This is how it's going to happen. We both have to be happy with that, right?
Yes.
And we sometimes shy away from talking about this with young people because these people will feel that it's encouraging behavior. Like this is not at all. We find in our experiences, learners already are doing this, but they're not being provided the knowledge from someone and look them in the eyes in a healthy way, right? They're getting their knowledge from phones, from pop-up ads, from websites online that doesn't understand their context and they're not being able to learn properly. So if there's anything that anyone is listening to take it to talk freely, especially with teenagers, to not make these topics taboo because your children are getting the information anyway.
And
they might as well get it from you.
Glamorized version. So that's the
Exactly.
thing with, if we look on porn,
Yeah.
that's not real.
Yes.
That is not real. And the longer they are watching it from a young age, and when they are in a scenario, I've had clients that can't get aroused because they've gone too far on the deep end. With not even, let's call it vanilla. It's really unhealthy. Things at just such a young age. That is something for the eyes of someone older, and if they want to experiment with their partner. But that's the thing I wanted to ask as well. What do you think the appropriate age is to talk to your kids about this? Number one. Number two, I want you to also share that incidents where you were giving, an educational talk and you were talking about the pull-out method. So those are the two things I want to ask. What age do you think we should start talking? And then give me that scenario where you were in class trying to give them an education and what happened.
What age do we think?
You should start talking to them.
I think as soon as they start hitting primary school, just to let them know about it starts off by that if anyone touches you in an inappropriate way, it's not allowed. It starts as small as small, but yet as big as that. And you as a parent, you will know on the behavior on your child and when you need to have that conversation. But you always I have a son, so I always encourage you need to respect a girl. A girl needs to respect you. You're getting older. It doesn't mean that you maybe like someone that it's okay for you just to go get a hug. So it starts as small as that, but you as a parent, you need to be able to understand and just you will know as a parent. You will see the body changes. So that is where it's but a small conversation as it goes along.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to jump in there that definitely the body safety, we tackle that topic with our primary school kids. And I think it's so important that I almost don't think that it's ever too early to start talking about body safety. And just safe touching, unsafe touching, and just putting safety plans in place.
Yes.
I think that education, and again, maybe parents shy away from it because not wanting to accept the reality of things out there, feeling uncomfortable with the topic themselves. But we start with that topic with our young kids from primary school, and we're talking about child protection and we're talking about body safety. That's how we introduce it with them. So I would definitely say from an early age that body safety conversation is so important.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifelong conversation that parents, parents will need to lean into the instinct at a young age to see when it's appropriate and what exactly to discuss. But it's something I don't think it's too early. It's never too early to discuss something. Obviously, appropriately with your child.
It doesn't have a full-blown
exactly right. But it's never, I think, too early to start that conversation.
Rather from you.
Your child's empowerment purposes as well for themselves as well. And even something as simple as naming our body parts. Name it the real names. You don't have to give nicknames for it or pet names for it. Name it what it is.
I heard this was a problem in court because a child would go, they touched my, I don't know, bubbles.
Yes.
What's a bubble? And then it won't
Exactly.
line up in court because it's not the real word.
Exactly. So not being afraid to just say it what it is. And you asked me to explain to you the story about the pull-out method.
Yes, so tell me,
Yes, and
introduction.
it's something I think it's important to mention so that parents understand what our learners are thinking and what they're talking about and what they are being exposed to. It's not to say our learners are seeking out this information. They are given this information on a silver platter and they now on their own have to kind of figure it out and formulate it. And so we were lucky in our conversation that this came out. The learners brought out the pull-out method and they said, Miss, that's a safe way to have sex, right? Just to pull out. I don't need a condom. I know my body. I know what to do. And it was great that it came out. We didn't prepare. It was one of those things of happening. It just comes out in the conversation and we're there thinking to ourselves, wow, it is so much deeper and we kind of have to enhance our service delivery to make sure. And we were lucky we were able to do that in the moment. And we were able to speak directly to that and say, no, guys, that's not an effective way of protecting yourself. Please still use this and this. And we were able to pull out our phones and get some Google insights as well to say, this doesn't work 90% of the time. And then you can see actually the light bulb go up in their mind. They're like, really,
We're
Miss?
thinking, wait,
Are you
father?
sure? Exactly.
Last
They're
weekend.
thinking, right? And so even so there's various examples of that and just like I say, to speak directly to something, because if we're not going to our children are curious, they are young, they're experimenting, why don't we then decide to be that person who speaks directly to it, who can give them positive knowledge and give them real facts.
Excellent.
And not these other things I think you just get out from online with people who don't have their best interests at heart. Yeah.
And please tell me about, is it true or not that a plastic bag can be used as a condom?
Yeah, so yes, that's something that comes out around as well, right? So to speak directly to that and say, guys, it's not something that is the true. You might have seen it online, you might have heard it online, but it's not effective.
And they say it with conviction. They're like, hey,
Yeah,
you
and
said.
they're asking. They're curious in that moment. It's not to say that it's something that they are doing or perhaps, but they really are really curious to know, which is an excellent thing. And we're glad that we were able to provide that space for them to ask.
That says a lot about you guys creating that environment, isn't it?
Right, to ask these questions and for us to then be able to speak directly to it and help them and hopefully they are implementing that in their daily lives now.
And this, because we're running out of time, sadly. But second last question I wanted to ask. At the schools that you've worked at, and because you've got how many schools again? 89. 89 schools. So yeah, Amy, you'd maybe more know about this, but you guys as well in your experience. What are we seeing? Okay, so is it more the problems that the kids are coming with you, absent fathers, domestic violence at home, drug issues? What is predominantly the problem?
Sure. It is a big question, and I think as you mentioned, every school is different. It is unique, but I do think our schools, as Chelsea said, are a reflection of what's happening in the country and the big social issues in our country. But I think a lot of it, we often say that our learners come to school with these backpacks of trauma, and they come to school with in that fight or flight response because of what's happening in the community, because of feeling emotionally unsafe at home, not having a place where they can belong, but just being exposed to so much violence, family dysfunction. It is trauma. And so they come to school with this backpack and then they're expected to focus and learn. So that's really where we try to address the trauma. The other thing, speaking about, sexual experimentation and all of that, we haven't really spoken about dropout, but speaking about dropout, and we know that 40% of South African learners who start grade 1 are not going to finish matric. Those are the stats, which is so scary. And actually the predominant cause is pregnancy, which is crazy. So all of these things link, and I don't think you can necessarily see them in isolation. We're talking about these conversations of body safety. Then we're talking about pregnancy, we're talking about dropout. So all of it's, it's a big conversation, but it really comes down to, teaching emotional regulation, how to cope with their own emotions, educating around things like sexual experimentation, body safety, and then ultimately really giving them a safe space to deal with that trauma because they're coming to school with trauma and that is then a barrier to learning. So at the end of the day, we are trying to improve psychosocial well-being,
Yes.
so that learning and development can happen. And that's really where we're trying to intervene. But yeah, the problems are big, but we really see it as just how do we lift some of those bricks out of the backpack.
Excellent. Excellent. And your experience, Chelsea?
Yeah, same like you said as well. I really want to reiterate that whatever the community is going on is what we will see come through our office, what we will see on our referral forms. And to add what you said, it's a lot of emotional toll that learners are going through. All these
Yeah.
things take an emotional toll on them. It adds to the anxiety. It adds to the stress that they are feeling. And then how do you expect a learner like that then with dealing with all these things, with that huge backpack that Amy said, how do you expect a learner to be able to then sit in class and think about what 5 times 5 is? Who of us as adults will be able to function properly, right? Dealing with all these things with still a developing mind, a developing body, a developing
And with
all of
all
those
this
things.
baggage, hope that
Yes,
I won't make anything of my life.
exactly.
I've got too much.
Exactly, right? And so thank you for mentioning that, because that's also a core of what we do. We want to, I think hope in that word in itself is such an important to feel for a child that I matter, that I value, and that I can do anything I put my mind to. There's all these obstacles, but I know I can still be, I am still important. I can do what I want to do. I think
Yes.
that's an important thing that we try to instill every single day in our children's minds as well. I think being able to teach them coping mechanisms, we're able to teach them all those things is important, but just be able to look them into the eye and say, you are a person, you matter, I'm glad you're here, is so important. So like you mentioned, there's obviously a lot of abuse happening in our communities through various avenues. Our learners are exposed to crime every single day, right? And they need to. Then there's also the barriers in education too. Like some learners, they're not able to learn like any other learner can, right? And so there's all these barriers. So like you said, we really try to then instill that hope in them to say that this is not it for you. This is not all that there is for you. You're still a growing person. Your future is still big. You still have a lot to live. You have a lot to still gain, and to be able to give that to them is so important to us as well.
And Shafika, do you have anything to add on to that?
No, Chelsea and Amy got
Yeah,
spot
so-
on.
Teenage pregnancy, trauma at home, lack of hope. That's, you already come from such a difficult community. My parents don't have, finished education. Why will I?
Yeah.
And it's just making them feel important, which is really such a great initiative, definitely. And on that note, I think there's actually something that shows the people that get the most donations is animal shelters, which nothing wrong with that. I love my animals. And you want to know it's going to a good place, I think Community Keepers is an absolutely great initiative, because we mustn't forget our youth as the potential of being our new leaders.
Yes.
Education gives people power to make the right decisions and builds up a country 190%. And it's not just, why aren't they learning? Sometimes, like they said, it's not the capacity with the psychosocial, but Community Keepers can help with that. And with 89 schools, that is absolutely amazing. And that is a drop in the ocean, yes. But like Mother Teresa says, I cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. My favorite quote. So because you're on the financial side, Amy, how can the public donate to this? How can the public help financially to get this to more schools? And I also want people from, say now they're in a, what's this called, like a committee at school, go to your principal, go, how do I apply? How does the school apply for Community Keepers? Is that an option for us to apply for? Because I see that this can make a difference. Can you, give me some information about that?
Yeah, so both of those, to your second question, obviously schools are so excited to have our service at their school, and we know that, and we want to reach every school in South Africa. But we have a waiting list on our website. So it's really simple, really easy. You just go to our website and you indicate interest. So there's a Google form and you can literally sign up to be on the waiting list. So that would be my recommendation, is to go put your name there, sign up. It's so helpful for us to see, because we also open up in clusters. So we can see that there's a cluster of schools and we can get that funding and support. It helps to know where the interest is. And we spoke about school buy-in as well. our services work when we're wanted. So to see that we're wanted and to have that buy-in from the beginning
Mm-hmm.
is awesome, and we go where we wanted. So that would be my recommendation, is to go to our website, sign up, be on the waiting list, and then we'll know that you're there. And same for donations. So every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. Our therapeutic sessions are 280 Rand a session. So even if that's all that you can contribute, or a portion of that, you'll know that that money is going towards a vulnerable learner receiving a therapy session, which could be life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you go to our website, there's a donate link right on the homepage, and that'll take you straight to give you that
Great.
opportunity.
Well, it is Christmas time, so maybe give back in that sense. But I really want to say thank you to all three of you. You do absolutely amazing work. And if no one has said it to you, thank you, and I think if we do what we love and passionate, and I can hear each one of you are, you can be the change you want to see in the world, And I especially think for you, Shafika, you come from the area, and it makes me a little emotional, but you come from the area where you have maybe seen gang violence and all of that, and you've been now in it, and you can make that change. And I think it's an example for each one of us, we can really be the change we want to see in the world. And thank you always for giving back. I know we get paid for it, but not what we really should, eh? But yeah, we do. And if any of the clients of yours do see, give a shout out, say, I know this is my social worker. This is the person that's helped me. I think sometimes we don't get that recognition. We're not in it for that. But if we know we made a little change, 1 out of 100, I'm cool for that. But thank you, ladies, so much.
you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Emma.
Of
for
course.
coming. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.